What is up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Somewhat Sports Podcast. My name is Chris, and I'm joined by two of the greats in this industry, Jurg and Dave. Fellas, how are we this week?
I'm excited. I'm hyped. It is the one of the close to the peak times of sports. Baseball is back. Hockey's about to get into the playoffs. Basketball's in it. NFL draft tonight. We're going. Just everything's going on, boys. I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful time to be a sports fan right now. I'm just in a good mood. Nothing can bring it down. It's only good times.
I'm ecstatic. I'm in a great mood. It's the best day of the year to me, the NFL draft, the day I've been waiting for since week one of the NFL season as a Jets fan. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen tonight.
Yes. The NFL draft is tonight, but by the time this episode goes up, it'll probably be Friday or the weekend. So, yeah, we were going to talk about, possible smoke that's been occurring within the NFL draft world, but we're just like, what, that's kind of pointless because this will be late. And, we can't clickbait that. So,
Yeah. It's
but
more fun
it'll,
for us to react in a week time when
yeah,
guys do get traded.
for
Honestly,
sure, for sure. But it'll be fun though. It'll be fun. It seems like this is going to be one of the most unpredictable drafts in a while,
yeah.
right? Like we don't know. There's talks that Trayvon Walker will go one, maybe Tibbs two, Hutch maybe dropping. We don't know what the Jets are going to do. Much to the chagrin of Damian, but it makes for a fun time.
Yeah.
But like I said, we can't talk about the draft because we're going to be late with it. However, we do have an NFL mock draft that we did last week. Jurg brought on his boys, Stu and Justin, and they nailed it, hit it out the park. It was one of our best episodes. You guys should totally check that out. NFL mock draft, round one. But yeah, it was awesome time with those legends, and you guys did already yourselves. But we'll specifically Jurg. But the rundown this week, we're gonna be talking about the NBA awards that have been released so far. The winners of Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Most Improved have all been announced. Underwhelmingly so, because we all thought there would be a show to kind of, present the awards and the winners, but I guess they're just randomly saying them. Shams is kind of leaking all of it, as he does always. So, Rookie of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, and Defensive Player have all been announced. The only remaining awards that have not been announced is MVP, Coach of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year. So we won't be talking about those three. That'll be just too much yapping. So we're just gonna be talking about the awards that have been. We're just gonna be talking about the winners of the awards that have been revealed so far, and then we're gonna end off with some NBA playoff talk. We have not had the chance to discuss NBA playoffs because it's just been a jam-packed week of news. We had the NFL mock that took so much time, and we missed it. We missed it. And round one's already basically done.
Yeah.
3 huge games tonight, fellas. We're gonna talk about them, but they could all be closeout games. Yeah, we'll talk about it after because I was gonna say a spoiler, but you gotta keep on listening to find out what that spoiler is. But without further ado, let's begin. All right, fellas. Rookie of the Year
Yep.
been announced, and it's Scotty Barnes of the Toronto Raptors. Now, I think this was who was it? It was Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, and Evan Mobley were the 3 finalists.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, the 3 of them had an amazing season, right? I really thought I would have put down a lot of money because I would have been so sure of it that Evan Mobley was going to win this. Now, I had Evan Mobley winning. I did think Evan Mobley should have won. At first, I was like, oh man, Evan Mobley kind of got robbed. But then I'm just like, I don't know if it's that much of a robbery, even though I still think he should have won. Now that I look at it, I don't think it's that much of a robbery because Scotty Barnes did have a really good season, man. He put up some pretty identical numbers to Evan Mobley. I just think Evan Mobley had a larger impact to his team's success this year. I mean, like the Cavs. Let's face it, man. If they weren't hit with the injury bug, they would have made playoffs. They really would have made playoffs. So because like everything started unraveling with the bug towards the end, they kind of went to the play-in, and they lost to Brooklyn, of course, and then they lost in such sad fashion to the Hawks, triggering the PTSD that I have as a Knicks fan. But he had an amazing season, man. He really is. I think he's going to be such an all-star one day, man. He's going to be a future all-star. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, really, bro, that front court, they make that shit elite. And he is awesome defensively and offensively. I think he's just as effective. So I think this should have been Evan Mobley's. I don't necessarily think I'm mad about Scotty Barnes winning. I just think it should have been Evan Mobley. But Scotty Barnes had numbers, really was effective. I thought he was really good as well. I think maybe the difference might have been that Toronto made the playoffs and they were just a better team this year. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not putting too much stock into it. But yeah, Evan Mobley should have won. Don't mind Scotty Barnes winning, and I think Cade is still awesome. So, Jurg, what do you think?
So I think it's interesting. I think the NBA Rookie of the Year award, this is starting, at least this is my opinion of it. I really do think that the award is ultimately decided like 50 games into the season at this point. I really think so.
Yeah, Cade did get
Because
hurt, I think, in the beginning.
and yeah, that's the thing. I think you look at the factors of Cade being hurt at the beginning of the season. Granted, he still finished out the year amazing, like 17 and a half, 5.5, 5.5. Like, that's not to sneeze at, especially how he struggled at first. Like, a lot of people were very critical of him at the very beginning. So, like, you got to give him his flowers and props that he turned it around and really balled out for Detroit, especially the last couple weeks. Like, Detroit was being a sneaky competitive team throughout the last, like, month or so of the season. So you have Cade there. So he was hurt for the first like 15 games or so of the season, double digit at least. Evan, he was good at the beginning of the season, but like I think between him and Scotty, he's the one that not. I don't want to say he struggled, but like he wasn't popping out the way he did the second half of the year. I think first off, I'm impressed the fact that him and Jared Allen really worked out well together in the front court. I think that was a big concern when I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people didn't project Mobley to be drafted by Cleveland. But
Yeah.
I think ultimately at the end of the day, that the two of them made it work. And then once Jared Allen went down, like Evan Mobley just like took it to another level, and he was very good for it, and he deserved a lot of props. Like him, the Rookie of the Year is not really a success based award, because if it was, like, the first overall pick would almost never be in it, because like how often does the first overall pick really get their team to the playoffs in just their rookie season? So like that's why Cade had a strong case still for his stats. I think between the two of them, I just think, again, to me personally, I think Rookie of the Year is the award where the voters just kind of decide at the first 50 games. Like, once they're set in who they want to pick, they're not going to change their mind. I think if Josh Giddey had been healthy throughout the entire year, I think his name
Mm.
would have been brought up, because Josh Giddey was having a really good rookie season.
Yep.
Like, he was probably the most criticized pick by a lot of people. Like, why are you picking this kid, et cetera, et cetera. He balled out. He did a really good job. He had a triple double performance in MSG. He had some really good games for the Thunder.
Didn't have to bring that up, Jurg.
Josh
Whatever.
Giddey, like, he would have been. I think you could argue maybe he could have been a Final Three finalist had he been healthy the whole time, but he wasn't. So then ultimately, I got to go back to the fact that Scotty Barnes, he was balling at the beginning of the season. I think he was the biggest surprise of the rookie class, where you consider the fact that I think a lot of people didn't have him going to Toronto. Remember, I think that shocked a lot of us, Scotty
Mm-hmm.
Barnes going to Toronto. And ultimately, like, he's the one that came out the strongest at the beginning. He got injured a little bit, so he had a stretch of time where he was, out of it and struggled, I think, when he first came back. But then he just started to pick it up again. And I just think at the end of the day, the first 45, 50 games of the season, Scotty Barnes was a lot of people's Rookie of the Year. And I just think that's what the voters are going to stick with. I think Rookie of the Year is the award where it's like they're not going to wait for all 82 games. I think like minds are set by game 50 of the season, unless like a guy goes on like a 30-point scoring stretch. Like, I think that would have been the only reason that it would have changed. So that's ultimately why I think so. And granted, I did that. To me, that doesn't mean that Scotty didn't deserve it. I just think like minds were made up far beforehand at the end of the day. And between Scotty and Evan Mobley, like, those are two franchises that like they need a young guy. Cleveland has a nice young core together. Chris, like you said, if it wasn't for the play-in being a thing, like, Cleveland would have been in the playoffs this year without a doubt. Um, Toronto, they were able to get up there, Scotty being a big part. Like, those two teams have like cornerstones of the franchise for a long time. That's all you could ask for. And one of them has to win Rookie of the Year. That's just how it goes. We don't do co-Rookie of the Year anymore, which like is kind of stupid to me. Like, I like looking. I think the last one was who was it? Steve Francis and someone else. I forget, the name is blanking on me, but I want to say Steve Francis's Rookie of the Year. He was co-Rookie of the Year winners with somebody. And I think the year before, the time before that was Jason Kidd and Grant Hill. Like, why don't we just do co-Rookie of the Years anymore? Like, I kind of wish we would. Though it's based on a voting system, which, we're going to talk about that voting system here with one of these awards, because it's really goddamn stupid. But congrats to Scotty Barnes for Rookie of the Year. He definitely deserved it. Mobley or Cade would have as well. Like, all three were very good this season.
Yeah, I mean, I would have had Cade as a Rookie of the Year. I don't know why these
Well,
voters. I think they kind of used the record to used it in play to decide who's Rookie of the Year. Not fully, I think, but definitely had a factor in it. And I personally don't think for Rookie of the Year, record should have anything to do with it, because most of the time these guys that are in for Rookie of the Year are drafted by the worst teams, and record really shouldn't have an effect on that. But they all had pretty similar numbers. Cade had more points and more assists than these guys. I get he missed games, but he played 64 games, which is not terrible. And obviously, in my opinion, he had a bigger impact on his team than Evan Mobley or Scotty Barnes had. Like Cade Cunningham was a clear-cut number one option on this team. Okay, I can't say that for Evan Mobley or Scotty Barnes, and that's not taking anything away from them. They could absolutely develop into those number one options going forward for those teams. But this season, as for Rookie of the Year, I don't think they were worthy enough compared to Cade, because I just think Cade was asked to do so much more for his team than these other guys were, from scoring the ball to playing defense to passing the ball to doing everything on the court for them. So running the show at point guard, obviously. Point guard is the most important position on the court. So I'm not upset that Scotty Barnes got it. I think all three of them were equally deserving, but in my opinion, I would just lean towards towards Cade Cunningham.
Are you insane, Dame? Asked to do on defense? Like, Evan Mobley, what? You're crazy, bro.
I'm saying he's asked to do all these things instead of just like one or two.
I don't think he's asked to play defense, buddy.
Evan Mobley's the best defender of all of them.
And Scotty.
And they're both better defenders, but then I think Cade was better on every other aspect of the game. He's asked to do everything for that team instead of like.
No, he was, but I don't even know. Look,
Scotty Barnes is in a great system with Nick Nurse. He has Fred VanVleet. He has Siakam. He has OG. He has all these guys that he doesn't have to guard the best player each and every single night. And Evan Mobley, he has a bunch of
I don't think Cade does either,
guys.
bro.
He has Jared Allen, Kevin Love, Lauri Markkanen. He has all these other bigs that he can feed off of. And then obviously Darius Garland. Who can you name on the Pistons that really helps out Cade Cunningham in any aspect of the game?
No, I agree, but I'm just saying. First of all, Scotty Barnes, yes, he does have a system, but I do think Scotty Barnes is a very good playmaker for his size as well.
I agree.
But
I just don't think he's as good as Cade.
Okay, to our defense, I don't think we all saw a lot of Pistons games.
I mean, no. If you're talking about playmaking, like Cade was just a shy over 5.5 assists per game, and like let's be real here, if he was on a better team, that number might be even more. Like Cade's role on that team, I equate it to LaMelo's role on Charlotte. He is the point forward because they're both so tall, and they're decent defenders. I would put Scotty over Cade in the defensive side of things, but I do see Dame's point. Like, ultimately, I think what Dame is trying to just say here is that like the number one overall pick came in, he struggled at first, but then he proved. Like, I think there is no reason to believe that Cade Cunningham shouldn't have been the number one overall pick, and I think that's something like is worth.
No, yeah, I would still take Cade number one
in the conversation. And I think to Dame's point, like I don't know how much it brings a role because I know it's rarely ever discussed, but if any of these voters use record, like that is the stupidest metric to rank these rookies, because at that point, like we should just be looking at the guys drafted in the 20s for Rookie of the Year, because those are going to be the guys on the winning teams, like not Cade Cunningham, who like. I think the most valid point is this, like that. Let's be real here. Detroit's going to go through a transition here because they're still going to get rid of some pieces on that roster. And I think Dwayne Casey, like I think he's just a lame duck at this point. I think Detroit is just waiting to get their next guy in. I don't think Dwayne Casey's the coach of the future for Cade.
Yeah, I agree. They have to go young. They have to go like a Willie Green type. And we see how good that is for New Orleans in the playoffs right now. All right, let's move on over to most improved player of the year. So the finalists were Ja Morant, DeJounte Murray, and Darius Garland. But I do want to talk about Jordan Poole, even though he wasn't a finalist. So Ja Morant wins this one to much questionable fashion. I've seen this like argument before where it's just like you're the number 2 pick, you're already like an all-star. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if like you should be qualified for most improved. I think. I forgot what the argument was, but it's like the distance traveled from where you were to where you are now, I think should be taken into account. Ja was already good. He's an all-star now. It feels like the distance that DeJounte and Darius Garland and Jordan Poole made is far greater than Ja. Ja, yes, indeed, did give Desmond Bane the rookie, but I don't know if that's going to alter the records here. I still think Ja wins it. His name's etched in history. Yeah, nice and all. That's nice and all, but like, if Damian gives me an award for MVP in high school basketball, it's not mine. It's kind of his. He just gives me the medal or the trophy or whatever. By the way, I still have your medals, by the way, Damian.
Yeah, I know.
But, so
I didn't know this. You actually
it was for props. It wasn't for sentimental value.
Why didn't you give them back?
I don't know. You keep forgetting. But that's not the point. So I think a lot of people think Jordan Poole. I think that's fine. I think people are kind of forgetting like DeJounte Murray here, man. Like I think a lot of people are falling in love with Jordan Poole because of what he's doing in the playoffs right now. So they're just like, oh, Jordan Poole's got to get it. If you would have won it, that's fine. I do think DeJounte Murray though, that man was putting up near triple doubles the whole like season, man. And he is the new guy for the Spurs. I'm gonna bring up Dame's argument here, but like the system of Golden State really makes Jordan Poole stand out. I'm pretty sure if I had Klay Thompson, Steph Curry to like pass it to, my playmaking would be off the charts. That's a combo, for another day. But I do think DeJounte Murray has to do a lot more, and he did a lot more for the Spurs team that was projected to miss the playoffs. I think no one like they didn't miss the playoffs, but they made the play in, and they were better than what I expect to be. He is like the main guy for that team, and he's making the Spurs relevant, bro. They have a nice little young core going, but it's that they drive that car because of DeJounte Murray. I think he should have won it. Garland, I won't lie. I think the first season, I think I saw a tweet that he was statistically had one of the worst seasons in NBA. And a little like a part of me was like, all right, that might be a little too harsh because I'm like, bro, he's a rookie, and I believe in the ceiling. I'm looking at the stats. Year two, Garland had 17.4 points per game, 6.1 assists per game, and 2 rebounds per game. Literally improved in every category. And then, of course, year three. No, what it was year three, right? Is this his year?
This was year 3, yeah.
Okay, yeah, 21.7 points per game, 8.6 assists per game. Jurg, you're right. I think he's one of the best like playmaking scoring guards in the NBA now, right? I don't think anyone expect. I think the ceiling is there. I didn't think it would come this quickly, But yeah, Darius Garland made a huge leap, bro, and I am actually glad that he made this, that he was a finalist for this year, because I do think he went from crafty guard and to become literally one of the best point guards in the NBA, man. Like he
Yeah.
went from that shifty shooting point guard to an amazing playmaker scoring guard, and Cleveland, like he is he really does. He is the head of that nucleus in Cleveland, and he is the reason
Yeah.
why. He's the reason why, like, he connects Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and he finds these guys, and he makes it easier for them. So he is the head of that nucleus, and I think he might be I think he is the major reason why Cleveland was a playoff team this year.
His
Eh,
jump up, to your point, Chris, like that terrible rookie season he had, like he was negative win shares and negative box plus minus his rookie season. Like you're talking about why like he had that terrible year. He was negative 5.5 box plus minus and a negative 1.3 win shares his rookie season. So he was technically speaking a negative on the court.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
season, you want to guess what his win share was?
No,
It was
I don't know.
6.3.
Jeez.
So in 2 years he went from a negative 1.3 to a 6.3.
Yeah, he's just had a positive impact on everything for the Cavs. He's made them fun to watch. He's great. He also looks like a great kid too. Yeah, I'm glad he's a finalist. Exclude Ja, I think DeJounte and Jordan Poole and Darius Garland, if those were the 3 finalists, I do think either DeJounte or Jordan would have deserved it more. But Garland has made improvements, so yeah, shout out to him as well. But yeah, Dame, what do you think?
Regardless, I would have had Ja fourth out of those 4 guys named, to be honest, because like you mentioned, he was a second overall pick, and it's not like he had a awful rookie season. He was great. And these other guys, from DeJounte Murray to Darius Garland to Jordan Poole, these guys, although I know Darius Garland was a high pick, like he started off with one of the worst rookie seasons ever. Jordan Poole obviously came out of nowhere and had an incredible season this year, turning into a star. And DeJounte Murray just asked to do absolutely everything for the Spurs. So I definitely would have not even had Ja as a finalist. I would have put Jordan Poole as a finalist, and I probably would have had Jordan Poole as the winner, in my opinion, to be honest. What Jordan Poole did this year, from going, he literally, from like you said, the distance travel, he was in the G League last year. Like DeJounte Murray or Darius Garland were not in the G League at any point in their careers. So from Jordan Poole, from going to the G League to doing what he's doing now, scoring 30 points a game in playoff games, to averaging 19 points, from the shooting to the playmaking to everything he's doing for the Warriors. I'm sure the Warrior system has everything to do with it, but this guy never stopped working, and he developed into what looks like is going to be the future of the Warriors going forward. So based off what your argument was, the distance travel, that's why I think Jordan Poole would definitely be the most improved player of the year to me.
Fair points, really. I try to tend to play devil's advocate on a lot of things, but I just can't do it in this case. Like Ja, I think you guys say it best. The trajectory of your career. Like people bring up the fact that I saw some people trying to argue saying, well, Ja technically was not an all-star last year. He was an all-star this year. It's like, shut up. Like if you if you're an all-star caliber player, it's like it doesn't matter if you've made the all-star team or not. Like we still call guys all-stars even if they haven't been an all-star the last however many years. How many people are still calling Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard all-stars? Or how many people are still calling Ray Allen an all-star when he wasn't an all-star anymore, technically speaking? Like we still call guys all-stars. So it's to the point where like Ja was an all-star last year, essentially. Like he was an all-star caliber player. He just didn't get the recognition as one. So we go from there, and I agree. Like, yes, he really did take that superstar leap because he played so well, but at the same time, he missed like, and this is where I get on other people. And oh, trust me, this will be mentioned for another award. Does games missed not matter? Because he missed like 20 plus games on the season, while these other guys like Garland played about 70. DeJounte Murray definitely played close to 70 games. Jordan Poole, I want to say, played definitely above 70. He may have been close to 80, I think, on the season. So those guys all played way more games than him. And yes, obviously the stats and the name aren't as great, aren't as sexy. But at the end of the day, like I think this award traditionally has typically been about that. You look at the history of this award, you don't even need to go much further up until last season, where Julius Randle, a guy who's been a pretty good player throughout his career, he was a lottery pick, he's a good player, but he had a breakout all-star season. Like he did show improvement from 1920 to 2021. You think the year before that, Brendan Ingram taking advantage of being on a Pelicans team, showing he could be a number one option. Guys who have won this award in the past, Oladipo, Giannis, CJ McCollum, Jimmy Butler. These are guys who they had a pretty good or solid season the year before, but they just absolutely bounced up. Oladipo, when he won it, he averaged 15 points per game the season prior. So you can't say, like people are trying to point out the fact that it doesn't matter that Ja was a number 2 overall pick. Well, Oladipo was a number 4 overall pick. 15 points per game. Okay, that's pretty good, but not 4 overall pick. And then he goes 23 points per game. I think he led the league in steals that season. I want to say he was an all NBA defensive team. He was clearly most improved player of the year, got to be the number one option. CJ McCollum, he averaged like 6 points per game the season before. Season he won most improved, he averaged 20. He goes from 6 to 20 points per game. Like you guys said, I think Darius Garland from year 2 to year 3, you could clearly tell how much better of a player he became. He literally improved because the question was coming in is like how true of a playmaker he could be. He's become like one of the premier playmakers in the game today, and this season showed it. DeJounte Murray, to your point, Chris, I had him in fantasy this year. Like he was just a stat sheet stuffer. Like he is a guy that the Spurs can rely on to constantly be a triple-double threat. A highly underrated player. Like we've been waiting for the DeJounte Murray leap, and we finally got it this season, and he was an all-star. And then Jordan Poole, like Dame said, he was, despite the fact he played, I want to say he still played like 45, 50 games last year. He was a G League player at times. Like the points per game, I think, were relatively high, but he still did not look like he belonged on an NBA court on a night-to-night basis. One night last year, he could have 25, but the next night he could struggle and have 3. Was not the case this year. Like people bring up Clay. Like Clay only came in about halfway through the season and he looked fine at first, but he still had to work his way back. Steph was out with injury for a good month and a half. Draymond missed 25 plus games with injury. Like we talk about the support system he has in Golden State. Yes, those are great weapons, but he did not have all of those guys for stretches of this season. And he was still the one balling well. I think like Steve Kerr himself would admit, like Jordan Poole is a bigger piece to the Warriors' success this season than I think a lot of people would want to give him credit for. And I definitely think I think it should have been him, Garland, and Murray for MIP, and you could have given it to any of those 3, and I don't have an issue here. I think the thing with Ja, and to an extent, I think some people are kind of sick because it has been the Ja Morant show this season. A lot of people are pushing the Ja Morant narrative, and Ja has been amazing. We're not sick of him. We know he deserves it because he has balled out this season, but this is not an award that he needs to get because we've already saw doses of what he can do. Like, I don't think Ja Morant necessarily improved like the other 3 guys did. He's still an electrifying athlete. Okay, we already knew this. He's still the best playmaker on the Grizzlies. Okay, we already knew this. Like, what? He has acrobatic dunks and layups. We already knew this. So how did Ja improve, technically speaking? And I don't want to say this to tear down Ja Morant, but it's most improved. Where did he improve? Like, okay, his team's record improved, but again, like team record does not matter for 4/6 of these awards, and honestly, sometimes it doesn't matter to the 2 most important awards. So why does team record get brought up here? It makes no sense. So at the end of the day, like yes, Ja got it, and there's some argument for it, but I just think like the award is meant to be for these guys who break out, who have that season where it's like, I've arrived as a true consistent rotational player in this game and potentially even an all-star. I think that's what this award has been meant for a long time. And like this just does not signify it. I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
Can't believe Julius Randle got this. Oh my god.
What'd you say, name?
I can't believe Julius Randle got this last year. Disgusting.
Yeah. Well, he did deserve it last year, but that's
But
last
come on,
year.
but this year was.
Yeah.
they
We
should
need to
just
talk about
resend-
it.
They should resend the award.
I agree.
We can't retroactively take awards.
Yeah. Yeah, so Ja winning, we all disagree, but whatever. He gave it to Desmond Bain, at least, which is pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. All right. Our third and final award that we're gonna talk about. Defensive Player of the Year. The finalists were Rudy Gobert, Marcus Smart, and Mikal Bridges. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just get this out of the way. I think everyone's happy that Rudy Gobert didn't win the award this year. Maybe it's voters fatigue, but we could have made that argument last year as well. But Marcus Smart ends up winning the award. Marcus Smart, the heart and soul of that Celtics team, I think. He is the leader of that defensive unit. He is the reason why Boston. He's the main reason why they all play good defense, but he's the main reason why Boston has the best defense in the NBA. Statistically, I don't know if that's like officially true, but they're definitely one of the best defenses in the NBA. I just don't know statistically like off.
Oh no, I'm not doubting the team defense. I'm doubting another part of that.
Well, I think ever since the second half of the season, they have been the best defensive team in the NBA. I don't know, like officially the whole season, but Marcus Smart, amazing defender, he wins it. Mikal Bridges, I think gets overlooked sometimes. He is an amazing defender as well, and I think a very like underrated part about Mikal Bridges. Well, I don't know if he missed a game this season, but he's played. I think he's an Iron Man. I think he's played like 82 game seasons for a bit now. I think
he's never missed a game yet in his career.
Oh, really? So he's played all games this year?
I'm pretty sure. Let me. I can double check that.
Well, if not,
I think he hasn't missed a game.
Yeah, he's played literally like a majority of his games. I think he is at the helm of the Phoenix defense as well. Phoenix is a good defensive team now. I do think it starts and ends with Mikal Bridges. Man, the length, the size, he has it. Mikal Bridges is literally like the quintessential, the basketball god's vision of a role player. He is so elite at what he does, 3-and-D, but man, he is. I think you could plug Mikal Bridges to any team, and he works. He's that good. You could plug him to any team, and he just fits. He's awesome. And then Rudy Gobert. I think we've already sung our praises about Rudy Gobert's defense.
Praises.
I know about his defense.
Regular season, Dame.
Regular
No,
season, man.
Speak for yourself.
Well, all right. I mean, we'll get to the slander, but like we all know that he is the reason why Rudy Gobert is a really good defender. Let's be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, I do think Marcus Smart deserves this award. Marcus Smart, I feel like, has been one of the best defenders in the NBA for quite some time now, and him winning this is the first guard to win it since Gary Payton, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, this is well deserved. I feel this is well deserved. I like you see Marcus Smart in every play on the defensive end. Every play he's doing something. He fixed the game on like every possession on the defensive end. Like he's always doing something. He's always so present. So I see why he wins it. Just a little bit more than Mikal Bridges, So I'm all for Marcus Smart winning this one. So, Jurg, what do you think?
Like, I don't blame it because I think Marcus Smart has always been a really good defender. He became that when he got to Boston. Like it started with Brad Stevens and he developed into a really good wing defender. But like, I don't think he's the best Celtics defender anymore when everyone's healthy because I think Robert Williams has jumped up. Like you're talking about a guy who could have like low key been most improved if it wasn't for all these guards popping off. Robert Williams' development from when he first came into the league and people were questioning his maturity because just doubts about that because I think he was late or something his first time or like just something along the lines. From his rookie season to now, Robert Williams has jumped exponentially in importance for that team. Like his presence on the defense was also a major reason. Like him and Smart together were the duo defensively for Boston that led to that defensive renaissance for them, like you said, from the second half of the season going forward. And I think Robert Williams would have had a case had he played all 82 games as well. Like I don't think Marcus Smart would have been a finalist, or if not, it would have been two Boston guys and people would have been torn because I think if you really look at it, Robert Williams was a key role there. That's why people were concerned going into the first playoff series without Robert. Now, granted, did it matter in the end? No, but we're not going to do hindsight 2020 here. Robert Williams was a critical piece to the Boston Celtics, because I think you look at Mikal Bridges, between Smart and Bridges, like Mikal Bridges doesn't have a great defensive big man. Like DeAndre Ayton is a great offensive big man, but his defense, like he's not terrible. Like I put Ayton in like the tier of Jokic. Like Jokic got better defensively this season. I think Ayton's gotten better defensively, but he's not a Joel Embiid. He's not Robert Williams. He's not a Bam Adebayo. He's not Rudy Gobert either. So when you consider all those factors, I actually probably would have considered giving Mikal Bridges the Defensive Player of the Year award, because I think we always talk about the Phoenix Suns offense, but that team defensively, like they've had some good defensive games, and Mikal Bridges is, like, you talk about spearheading it perimeter wise. Like I think those two guys are the perimeter defensive spearheads for their respective teams, between Smart and Mikal Bridges. And to me, Mikal Bridges not having that defensive big that he can rely on is key. He also, like, wing defenders, like Chris Paul's older now, so he's not like at his peak because when he was younger, he led the league in steals like 3 times. Devin Booker is a good player. Like he's a super talented offense. He's not terrible on defense, but he's not all NBA in any way stretch. Cam Johnson's good, but like again, not amazing. Like Mikal Bridges is the definitive bar none best defender on his team without any second thought. I think there's an argument between Robert Williams and Marcus Smart, and when I think of that, I would have given my vote to Mikal Bridges, honestly. That's just the way I see it. Again, not wanting to take away from Marcus Smart, he ends up winning the award. Like he's always been a good defender, but I just think Mikal Bridges had a really strong case. And to our point before, he is an Iron Man, because I actually don't think he's missed any games, because 1920 he only played 73, but that was when COVID shutdown happened. I don't think he missed any games that season when they actually played. So I want to say Mikal Bridges has not missed an NBA game yet in his career. And when you consider the perimeter defense he's done in Phoenix, like he's really good. I think so far in the Pelicans series as well, I think like Pelicans players are they're shooting way below average when guarding, and Kyrie lit up Marcus Smart in game 1. So again, we don't use playoffs for it, but I'm just saying, like, we're also seeing in another sample how one guy's defense is supremely important to his team. So I would have given it to Mikal Bridges personally. That being said, Marcus Smart won it. That's fine. But there was a guy not in the top 3 that, I have a little bit of an issue with, but I'll let it go because, we only have so much time on this podcast. But I'll just say, like, the voters, they did it right by not giving it to Gobert again, but they did it wrong because there should have been a different third guy on that top 3. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know, bro. I think I understand what you're saying with the whole, like, big man, like for, like, to back up, like, Marcus Smart, like Robert Williams. I think Marcus Smart could guard 1 through 4, whereas Robert Williams, I think he's a great defender, you're right, but, like, I do think, like, he's limited more to, like, big man defending. Like, I don't think he could guard he could guard in the perimeter, but not as well as Marcus Smart. Like, Marcus Smart, I think, could guard 1 through 4. I think he guard 1 through 4, so there's more versatility in his defending than I think Robert Williams is. Yeah,
well,
I get.
I don't mean the big man. I just mean the second.
No, I understand that. I understand that,
like,
but
Bridges doesn't have that.
No, Bridges. Yeah, you could. Yeah, I definitely see the argument that he carried that Phoenix defense. Yeah, but no, that's why I said, like, I just think Marcus Smart is a better defender, but I do see the argument where if Mikal Bridges, if he wanted, I would have been fine with that too, because he does, like, carry more of, like, a load for the defensive end for his team. But I do think Marcus Smart, yeah, Kyrie 1 for 40, but I do think there was a lot of switching that game. It wasn't just solely on Marcus Smart. Like, he did damage to KD as well. Let's not forget about that. But yeah, I don't know. I just think there was more versatility in Marcus Smart's defense than there is to see, now you're making me confused, Jurg. But there's more of a defensive versatility with Marcus Smart, I feel like. I just think he's more impactful. But I do see what you're saying. Whereas Mikal had to do a little bit more because he didn't have, like, backup. Even though Jay Crowder's a fake good defender. Yeah. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is the one award I agreed with so far. I do think Marcus Smart deserved Defensive Player of the Year, because just watching Boston games throughout the year, and especially now in the playoffs, you see the impact he has on the game, just anchoring that defense. And it's hard to anchor a defense at the guard spot. Usually when you hear about anchoring defense, you hear about guys like Draymond Green and other kind of centers. Not the guy in Utah, though. That guy doesn't anchor shit. But Marcus Smart definitely anchors that Boston defense, and he was definitely, in my opinion, the reason for Boston's turnaround this year and spike in the middle of the year when they got hot and they really turned it around. And the reason why they really swept the Nets, big reason why they swept the Nets, is his defense. Mikal Bridges is definitely deserving as well. I think he does the same thing as Marcus Smart does for the Celtics, for the Suns, but I just don't think he does it as well. Not going to talk about the guy in Utah. Doesn't deserve to be a finalist. I definitely do think that Jurg's boy Bam deserved to be a finalist, and I probably would have had him third, but I just don't think that he had the impact that Marcus Smart did have on the Celtics from, like Chris said, guarding 1 through 4, making big defensive plays to close out games as well. I'm just obviously Bridges and Bam had their big defensive plays throughout the year as well, but just on a day in day out basis, I just don't think any player in the league had the defensive impact that Marcus Smart had for the Celtics this year.
Yeah. Yeah, Jurg, I do think Bam will be a finalist next year. I think there's too
I
much.
don't know anymore with these fucking
Yeah,
voters, man. You
yeah.
give Ja most improved, he missed 25 games. Bam can't be top 3 because he missed 20. Like, oh my god. Like, I'm done with the bias. I'm done with these voters.
Well,
It's
look,
so
bro.
stupid.
Look, your team moved on to the semifinals. That's the more important thing. Which is a good segue to our next segment. We're gonna be talking about some NBA playoffs. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Playoffs have been here. We were just late talking about them, but we're going to talk about everything that's transpired so far. Fellas, let's talk about the East first and then the West, because there are a lot of, I think majority of the East is done besides one series, which I think is pretty important to talk about. Whereas the West, I only think one team has advanced to the semis. It's possible that those other teams could advance tonight. Bunch of stuff's happening. The East is kind of all but set. So we're going to talk about that first, then we're going to talk about the West, because the West is getting pretty close besides one series that's already ended. So, yeah. Let's start off with Miami and Atlanta, because we're kind of already talking about Bam. Miami Heat defeat the Atlanta Hawks 4-1. Actually, this will be pretty fun. Let's look at our predictions, because we did make playoff predictions for the first round.
Which can be found on SomeWhatSports on IG.
Great plugin. All right, so we all had Miami winning. Dame had Miami winning 4-0 in a clear sweep. I had Miami winning 4-2. And Jurg actually guessed it right. He had the Miami Heat winning in 4-1. So, Jurg, congrats. You get the points there. Shout out to you for knowing your team. This is it. Jurg's a Miami Heat fan. Me and Dame are Knicks fans. So I think we were all in unison that we wanted the Heat to win the series. Doing God's work. We eliminated Trae Young and the Hawks. It was, even that one game that the Hawks won, they kind of won it at the end there. This should have been a sweep. It could have been a sweep, but I guess, it went 5, whatever. But, guys, this wasn't a close series in my opinion. It went exactly how I thought it would have went. The Heat's defense just smothered Trae Young. Spoelstra's like, you know what? We'll let the other guys, if we're going to get beaten, it'll be through them, not Trae Young. And my God, that defensive scheme on Trae Young. I haven't seen the clip so far, but it's just like, PJ Tucker guarding Trae Young. Pick, then it's Jimmy Butler, then it's a switch, and then it's Bam. My God, I'll never forget that sequence, bro. Just 3 crazy defenders on Trae Young. He played like garbage. I think he averaged like an obscene amount of turnovers. They put him in the gulag. He deserves it. Fuck Trae Young. I'm glad this happened. He's a piece of shit. I'm glad that the Hawks, they got humbled. They did get humbled. I know they went through some injuries, and Capella got hurt in the play-in, but even though he played a little bit, he wasn't 100%. Neither was John Collins. But I'm just glad they lost. Fuck Atlanta. Fuck the Hawks. Fuck Trae Young. Ultimately, the Heat's defense was going to smother them, and that was going to be the deciding factor here. Like, I know the Hawks could score, but if there was ever going to be a team to stop that scoring, or to at least limit it or neutralize it, it's the Miami Heat. I'm glad they won. Man, I'm happy. Dame, what do you think about this series?
Well, I thought it was just going to be a sweep because I assumed this was going to happen to Trae Young. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but I knew he was going to struggle because of all the different bodies that he could have thrown at him. I know people are saying, like, obviously Trae Young needs help, and I do agree. Like, I don't think this is all on him, and he definitely does need more help. But at the end of the day, he needs to play better than he did. Like, playing that bad and shooting that bad and being that careless with the ball is inexcusable no matter the defense you're going against when you're that skilled of a player. But all year I just didn't think the Hawks are that good of a team, and I was really high on the Heat, so that's why I kind of saw the sweep coming. But Hawks got that one game in for their pride. It is what it is, but I really like the C team going forward, though. We'll see what happens next round. We'll see what they face.
We'll talk about that. And by the way, before you go, this dude Trae Young talking about, yeah, if you get bullied, you got to bully back. That's and that. Bro, shut the fuck up, you rat. This dude is like so annoying. This is the playoffs, bro. Like, I understand Trae Young he had a great playoffs last season. He made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. He showed up. Bro, stop it now. I don't want to hear this bullying shit. This dude hunts for fouls. It's the playoffs now. You're not going to get calls like you did in the regular season, especially when the NBA is trying to like cut down on that bullshit. No, it's not. It's a grown man ass league, bro. Don't be saying, "Oh, I'm getting bullied." Like, bro, you're just too small, too little. Hold yourself accountable. I'm pretty sure he did hold himself accountable in some of the press conferences. He said he got to be better, but that's just the reality of it, bro. What did you think was going to happen against the Miami Heat? You thought it was going to be all peaches? Fuck out of here. Go ahead, Jurg.
I don't know if I could have said it better myself. No, at the end of the day, like Miami proved like this is why they're better than last year because they just have more bodies to throw to you on switches. It's Kyle Lowry being that point of attack guard defender, which we just didn't have last season. Like people forget, one of the reasons why Miami struggled, especially last year's playoffs, was because we just did not have that point of attack defender anymore. It was supposed to be Avery Bradley, but he was hurt the whole year for Miami, and then I think we ended up trading him. Andre Iguodala, if he was still on the team, Iggy did nothing. I want to say there was like one or two more guys last season that just did like not perform to the level that Miami was hoping for. And this season it's way better because Kyle Lowry is there. Of course, Jimmy Butler's always been a defender. Bam can guard the 1-4/1-5. You know, Gobert can't.
PJ.
You have that. PJ Tucker can. You know, he was on the champions last year. And apparently Max Strus can guard as well. Look, you know, boys, let loose the Strus because Max Strus
Love Strus.
It felt like Jimmy Butler was still putting clamps on Trae Young when Max Strus was still guarding him because apparently Max Strus pretty good defender. You know, who knew? Miami did apparently. No, at the end of the day, like this is what I was expected. Like kind of like to your guys' point, like I said 5 because yeah, I know my team. I know we're gonna give up that one game, even if it's by last second. I know Miami's just gonna lose that game. Like I had zero reaction when that happened. It's like okay, we're gonna come back the next game, we're gonna smoke them. And what happened the last 2 games? Victor Oladipo. Like, and also really good defender now that he's healthy again. He also did a phenomenal job in that last game. To your point, Chris, I want to say Trae Young had more turnovers than field goals made in this series, like 30 to 22 or something along those lines. Miami just smothered him. And this is exactly the strategy that Miami did when they faced Milwaukee 2 years ago. We're going to just clamp up your star, force everyone else to beat us. Like Miami understands it better than everyone else. Attack the center of the offense because you cut off the head, the snake will fall. And Trae Young is the head of that snake. Yes, Bogdanovich actually had a pretty good series for the most part. I want to say John Collins had a game. DeAndre Hunter had a game. But Trae Young, if you make him struggle, the Hawks are just not that team.
Yeah.
It's proof that they need more around Trae, but it's also proof that Miami just knows how to play this defense. They did this back when they made the NBA Finals. And now they're looking to do it again. And they finish up the series in 5, which is big for them because Laurie and Jimmy need a little bit of rest. This team just needs to relax. And now they can, prepare for a series here coming soon. Whoever the opponent is, we don't know yet. But, Miami, like they did what a first seed should do. And for the first seed, a lot of people disrespect it. I want to say Charles Barkley was the one that said that Atlanta even had a chance to win this series. So once again, fuck you, Chuck. You don't know anything about modern basketball. The Heat finished this easy. Like it's pretty simple. Like, that's just how it is. A first seed does what a first seed does, boys. Moving on.
Yes. All right, let's move on over to Bucks versus the Bulls. The Bucks defeat the Bulls in 5 games. Jurg and Dame had this right. They had a winning 4-1. I had a sweep. It should have been a sweep, but whatever. Not much we can say about this. I think we all predicted that the Bucks would win the series. However, game 2, Middleton goes down with an injury. It's an MCL sprain. We'll talk about that. The Bulls won that game. The Bulls actually played really well that game specifically, even before the Middleton went out. The Bucks took care of business because the Bulls are an overrated team. They couldn't beat any good teams. There's not much to say about this other than Milwaukee's a championship contender and the Bulls are not. I understand they didn't have Lonzo, but I don't know if Lonzo would have done much against the Bucks in the first round. Levine was out for the final game because of health and safety protocols. I'm not sure he would have made a difference, to be honest. I think elimination game
series, wasn't he?
What happened?
Was Levine quiet this series? I did not hear his name at all.
He had numbers, but it was really quiet numbers. But look, elimination game. Giannis smells blood in the water. He's the best player in the world right now. Obviously, Middleton's out. That's huge because he's going to be out. Shams confirmed it for the whole Eastern Conference semifinals. That's massive. I don't want to talk about that yet because we're only going to talk about the first round, but that's huge. But just for this series, it's not much to talk about. Bucks are the better team. They smothered them. The Bulls was a gentleman's sweep. They got lucky. They got a game. They got a game under their belts. Congrats for them. I understand their season was derailed with injuries. That sucks. I'm pretty sure they're better than how they went out, but I don't got to hear Bulls fans till next season, which I'm pretty sure they'll be just as loud, if not louder. So, yeah, do you guys want to talk about this? Can we move on?
No,
I
I
just
just
want
want
to
to
say I
say
was
our
right.
podcast.
I just said want to
You?
say I was
We?
right against the Bulls.
We.
About the
We-
Bulls, yeah, whatever.
We were all right, actually. I think we were all on this team's gas bandwagon.
Even when they were hot, I was still on it that they're gonna sink at some point.
Standing packed. Yeah.
Yeah.
This team is not Eastern Conference Finals, bro. That's what I kept hearing about this shit, bro. No way, man. I need the NBA basketball fans. Like, I understand the casual viewers will look at the Bulls and be like, oh, fun team. Bro, that's all I kept hearing. They're a fire team, bro. They dunk. They're fast. They're alley-oops. Shut the fuck up, bro. Shut up. My God. All right, let's move on over to Nets versus Celtics. Celtics win this one. The only sweep to occur so far in the first round. The Boston Celtics sweep the Brooklyn Nets 4-0. I noticed
We're all
that
right.
I got a little healthier after that game 4. I got, lost some weight. Face started getting clear. Teeth started getting whitened. I don't know. Something just felt good about air that day. Guys, God's work was done by the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. I love this. This is the most stress-free. And yes, this is a Knicks fan podcast. Brooklyn Nets get swept. To the satisfaction of everyone. There's not Brooklyn fans in the world. There's no Nets fans. So it's not like anyone's sad that this happened. I could speak for all of us. None of us expected a sweep. And we all predicted the Nets would actually win the series. So Jurg and Dame had this series going 7. The Nets winning in 7. I had the Nets winning in 6. So technically you guys were closer. My God, guys. This was... Wow. I thought after game 1, I'm like, all right, the Celtics winning a game winner. It's going to be a slugfest because it was so close. But man, oh man, I think after game 1 and then game 2, the Nets kind of dominated the most of the game, but then the Celtics came back at the end. And I'm like, wow, this 2-0. This might go 7. This might go 7. They're going to go back to Brooklyn. And then from then on, they just snatched their heart and just killed them. I cannot believe what we watched, bro. Wow, the defensive masterclass from the Boston Celtics, bro. The switching, the physicality, bro. They just smothered the Nets, man. I've never seen KD this bad. This is his worst playoff series. Oh my God, I think maybe ever. This was as bad as I saw him since like Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, in which he purposely threw the game. Story for another time. My God. Kyrie had a good game 1, sucked ever since. For their standards, of course. And then KD did show up at game 4, but then whatever. Bro, wow. It was inspiring to watch. Jason Tatum showed up. Marcus Smart, if there's a series to exemplify why he deserves Defense Player of the Year, it was this series. Grant Williams, Al Horford, just everyone played their part on defense, man. And the Nets, bro, like, I thought the talent level would supersede their shortcomings on defense. Nope. Wow, it's just the amount of hero ball. The reason why I thought the Nets could get away with hero ball is because it's KD, right? And it's Kyrie. So I'm like, all right, it's just like, it's annoying, but like they'll get through it because of those two. Nope. Celtics just shut them down. Wow. Just wow. It was inspiring to watch. It was a defensive shutdown, defensive masterclass. Celtics showed up. They just wanted it more. Like, I hate to sound cringe, but they just wanted it more, man. And I got to give a shout out to the Celtics because the Bucks they lost the last game of the season. And you know what? The Celtics won against the Grizzlies their last game of the season. Didn't run from it. Shout out. They deserve to win this series, bar none. And, I think they got a good shot at beating the Bucks in the semis. But yeah, Dame, how about you go for this one?
Yeah, this is definitely not what I expected to happen with this series. Obviously, I had the Nets and winning in 7, but in general, I just thought the Nets were going to put up more of a fight. Game 1, they obviously won that game winner, and I'm like, all right, so it felt like the Celtics played the best basketball they could, and the Nets really played like shit. So I was like, all right, so this kind of leans towards the Nets' favor because they aren't going to play this bad, and the Celtics probably aren't going to play this good for the rest of the series. So the Nets got this. And then game 2 happens. Same thing. Game 3 at home for the Nets. I thought, all right, this is the game. They're going to win this game and they're going to get rolling. Boom, they get smacked. KD looks absolutely disinterested. Kyrie sucks. And it's like, there's no way they're coming out and coming back from this because, to be honest, they just didn't look interested after that game 3 or during that game 3, to be honest. So it's absolutely disgraceful what the Nets did this season from all the
But
hype they
beautiful to
had.
watch.
It's absolutely amazing. Just as many playoff wins as the Nets this year, the Knicks this year.
Yeah, and
But,
LeBron.
yeah, and LeBron, yeah, and the Lakers and LeBron, all of them had the same amount of playoff wins this year. Can't say that I'm sad about that, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm very happy about it, and it's extremely impressive by the Celtics. You got to give them credit. I know we shit on the Nets and stuff, but you got to give Celtics all the credit for what they did to the Nets as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day in this series, I just think what we didn't account for was the fact that the Celtics were just going to overpower the Nets because the Nets just didn't have an answer offensively or defensively. Like, the defensive masterclass by Boston was impressive. I think this series actually showed us that Jason Tatum is an even better defender than what we all thought because let's just be real here. When he was on KD, he locked him down. Jaylen Brown as well. But offensively, like, we thought it was going to be like the Nets were going to be the dominant offensive team. The Celtics destroyed them, and the Nets just had nobody else. Like, no one else on the Nets really made an impact on a consistent basis for the 4 games. And I think that's the biggest story to tell. And I think coaching, even though, like, technically speaking, Udoka is a new coach, he has been, gone through the system. He's been an assistant. He's seen deep playoff runs. He's been on teams. Steve Nash just hasn't done that. And I think a better coach would have helped Brooklyn a little more in this series. With how Boston played, I think Boston would win at the end of the day, but I think a better coach would have helped. And it from reports that have already come out saying that Nash, he's not going to be on the hot seat.
Of course.
I don't know what Brooklyn's ceiling is going to be with this team going.
No, they don't need a
forward.
coach, though. Kyrie thinks they don't need a coach, bro.
So no, it's absolutely wild to me, and like just props to the Celtics. They proved a lot of people wrong. Like we all went with Brooklyn because we thought, oh, they have the 2 best players on the court. Maybe they didn't have the best player on the court at the end of the day because Jason Tatum, like this is his true arrival. Like he's been in deep playoff runs. I think this is his true arrival.
Yep.
The fact that the Nets just dominated.
Yeah, it was a thing of beauty, though. I love watching Jason Tatum play basketball, man. There is like such a smoothness to his game, bro. He outplayed KD. Wow. Yeah, he's here. He's here. I think a lot of people, he's always kind of like been touted as like kind of the next guy to like enter that superstar echelon. I don't think he's there yet, but this is the right step. This is a very good step in the right direction. So shout out to him, man. Wow. Yeah. But no, but dude, the way Brooklyn, bro, they just don't play a good brand of basketball. It's just like, all right, well, you know what, screw it. We'll be in the play-in, but we're talented enough to kind of, get past all the hurdles. And I was a victim of that. I'm just like, yeah, they're probably like good enough to make it to like the semis at least against the Bucks. But nah, man, Celtics owned them. They sunned them, and thankfully they did. I feel disgusting rooting for Boston, but dude, I was all for them. They like rightfully won that series. They played beautifully. All right, let's move on over to the final series of the Eastern Conference. That is still going on, by the way. The 76ers versus the Toronto Raptors. So far, guys, it's 3-2 Sixers. This is 3-0 Sixers not long ago. But it's 3-2 now. Game 6 will be had in Toronto tonight. Matisse Thybulle isn't playing, by the way. Joel Embiid has a torn ligament in his thumb. And guys, it's so apparent how much that thumb is affecting him because Joel Embiid is just not the same, bro. My goodness, it's just the passing. It's just he made some absurd passes in Game 4, and I'm just like, wow. And you could see him just like in discomfort when he like has the ball in his hands, bro. Whenever he finishes, all of that, bro. It has completely changed the trajectory of this series. And it has given Toronto life. James Harden looks like a shell of himself. They have shifted their focus, I think, from Harden to like Tyrese Maxey a little bit, to a point where Tyrese Maxey's kind of been like shut off quite a bit from the Toronto defense. Pascal Siakam's waking up. Wow, this series has completely shifted. Guys, I'm going to say it right now. I do think Raptors have a shot at coming back. I think this may be the first time we could see a 3-0 lead being blown. It is wild, but I do think that Joel Embiid injury is just, it's shifted everything, bro. It's completely changed the narrative here. And for the stats here, Damien had the Sixers winning 4-2, which could happen tonight. Me and Jurg had the Raptors winning 4-3, which also could happen, by the way. But yeah, Dame, what do you think of this?
Yeah, like you said, just Joel Embiid injury really changed everything. I don't know what it is about this guy. Like, he literally just can't stay healthy no matter what body part it is. Like a freaking dumb
The
right thumb
timing of
injury.
it,
Like,
bro.
and the timing of it too. It always just it looks like regular season towards the end he's like getting healthy. He's gonna stay healthy, and then in the playoffs it's always something. Like, it was a knee injury the other year and whatever. But it's sad to see because he's so good and so dominant that it just sucks to see any kind of injury derail him. But it's obviously crazy to see what's happening here. Of course, it has to be Doc Rivers, the one coaching, the guy who's infamous for blowing all these kind of leads. But I think the Sixers at the end of the day are going to win in 7. I think they're going to lose Game 6, but I do think it's going to go back to Philly, and I think Joel Embiid's going to fight through it and give everything he has and really put out a dominant game to really close out the series to make sure he doesn't have on his resume that he blew a 3-0 lead in the playoffs, especially the first round of the playoffs. So I could see the Raptors winning, of course. I don't think it's a done deal that the Sixers are going to close it out. They could even close it out in Toronto today. I don't think that's a done deal that the Raptors are going to win, but I do think that the Sixers will win one of these last 2 games to move on.
Crowd's going to be wild in Toronto, by the way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think you guys are wrong here. Things have shifted drastically in this series. For one thing, is just Philadelphia's offense has sputtered the last couple of games. Like, they are not looking as overwhelming offensively as they were before. Chris, like you said, Tyrese Maxey is just not getting to the rim and attacking and just not scoring as efficiently as he did the first couple of games of the series. Because like the first 2 games, he like him and Jordan Poole, like they were just lights out the first couple of games of the postseason. James Harden, like I don't know what's up with him anymore. Like, I would have thought
He's
that
washed.
this would be the time where he could pop out. And the thing is, he wanted to go to Brooklyn and then now to Philly, really, because he wanted to have less of the scoring burden. But that still means that he could at least have one of those games where he could just turn it on and be 45. And man, it's looking real bad now. Like, day by day, it's looking worse for James Harden. I don't really know if there's a way for him to repair everything after this. It's just it's so bad. And to your guys' point, I think Joel Embiid, I think the injury hampers him from, like, he is far less aggressive. He's far more passive, and it's just an issue for this team. And I think all of this is culminating in the fact that at the end of the day, I think that I think the Sixers might lose this. I really am starting to think the Sixers might lose this. Now, by the time we listen to this, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But I think the way the Raptors, like Chris, we were just talking about the Celtics defense. I think the Raptors defense was something, to behold. I think, the Raptors defense has been something to behold, just like with the Celtics. I think offensively they're doing enough. It hasn't been overwhelming offense by them, but they're doing enough. They're limiting what Philly's doing. Like, this could end up being the first ever series in NBA playoff history where I think, forget just even winning. Like, I don't think a team has ever even forced a game 7 after being down 0-3.
No, they
This is
have.
all,
They have.
really,
They actually have. They actually have. It's just they haven't won.
which
It's
man,
happened a few
which series is
times.
that? I'm trying to remember, but like, irregardless, then you have a chance to really do something here, and I think Toronto has the chance. They have the system in place. To your point, Fred VanVleet, like, I don't know if they'll sit him out the remainder of the series. Like, I don't know if you mentioned his injury
He's out
status.
tonight. He's out tonight.
He's out tonight. Okay, so maybe he comes back for Game 7. Who knows? But what's been working so far, I think, is just going to continue. I think Pascal Siakam and Precious Achiuwa, former Miami Heat player, by the way, they need to continue to be aggressive against Embiid, both offensively and defensively. I think the wings on that team, Scotty Barnes, who was injured early in the series.
I
A lot of
can't
people
believe he came back.
Dude, the kid just has a lion heart.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day,
He's awesome.
like, Toronto is in place here to force this Game 7, and I don't care if it's in Philly. Anything can happen in Game 7, and we saw how Philly deflated in a Game 7 last year.
Oh,
It might happen again.
oh,
It really might happen again.
Toronto's in the driver's seat, Jurg. And yo, I've seen this before, and it's such facts, dude. Game 7 in Toronto is kind of like a road game for Philly, bro. Game 7 in Philadelphia, that's gonna be difficult, bro. They got booed in Game 5.
Yeah,
The Sixers, bro. It is not gonna be easy, man. I'm telling you, the amount of pressure.
that is not the crowd to be in front of.
Exactly, bro. That's why, like, I agree with the statement. Like, you want to be on the road for Game 7, dude. I do not want to be at home for Game 7. Jesus Christ, bro. Do, be honest, bro. What do you think's gonna happen? You think Philly pulls this off, or do you think Toronto? If Toronto wins tonight,
I
I
want the
think it's
Raptors to
anyone's
win.
game for Game
I
7.
want it. Dude, in hockey, 4 or 5 times in NHL history it's happened. Like, I've seen it at least once or twice. No, I've definitely seen it twice happen. It was the Kings versus the Sharks. They did the reverse sweep. And before that, I want to say the Flyers, I think they reverse swept the Bruins, I want to say. It was over a decade ago, so my bad. But I've seen it twice happen in hockey. Baseball, it's happened. Of course, the most recent time. Has there been a more recent time aside from the Red Sox over the Yankees in that ALCS from way
Was it the
back?
Cubs?
Cubs over who?
It was like in 2016. They played the Cleveland.
No, they didn't reverse sweep them. They came back. They were down 3-1. They weren't down 3
It was
nothing.
3-1. Okay.
Yeah, so like this is a real God. That would have been terrible for Cleveland had it been 3-0 and they blew it. But no, like I think this is going to be the first time it would happen in basketball. Like it has to happen eventually. Let's be real here. It, the teams are so talented now. Naturally, it's
Yeah.
going to happen one time, and this might be the series. I just feel for Doc that he has to be the guy that now, like, this could be on his resume with the several blown 3-1 leads in Orlando, in LA. Did he have one in Boston where they blew?
Wait,
I
say it
don't
again.
remember. Did he have one in Boston that he blew 3-1, or is it just he blew 2-3-1 leads as Clippers coach? I
Yeah,
want to say.
that. Nah, the
So
latter.
so yeah, so 2-3-1 leads blown as the Clippers coach. He blew a 3-1 lead apparently in Orlando. I'm way too young to remember that. But and now this, if he blows a 3-0 series lead, I guarantee you he's fired. Like they're not bringing him back because they should have beat Atlanta last year, and now this year against Toronto when they were up 3-0, like
It's unprecedented.
he's gonna get fired if they lose this. Like I just guarantee it. And I'm saying this not because I want him to get fired. I'm saying this because I want to see it happen. I want Toronto to force and win that Game 7 now. Like I want to see it happen. And
Dude.
I think it's only right that it happens in this series with everything that with the now injured MVP candidate they have with their other superstar who just doesn't want to play like a superstar anymore. It couldn't happen to a better team, huh? And a better fan base, mind you.
If the Sixers advance, bro, it's not gonna get easier for Embiid. It is
Oh, it's
just
not.
not. He's gonna go against that Miami defense. Wow. I don't know, bro. It's gonna be difficult for Joel Embiid, bro.
And Harden and Maxey, like if you think Scotty Barnes is
Yeah,
hard to shake off, imagine the screen switching that you guys talked about. It's going to be Jimmy,
that
then PJ,
that
then
might
Laurie.
be
Like,
that might be a
whew.
gentleman's sweep. All right, whatever. But what do you got? The Raptors or Sixers winning?
I want the Raptors to win. I'm just saying that. I
Who
don't
do you
care
think is
about
gonna win?
think. I think the Raptors will win Game 6.
Okay.
In Game 7, I don't know. I want chaos. I want the Raptors to win.
Okay, beautiful.
So
All right,
I'll go Raptors in 7.
let's move on over to the West, where a bunch of shit is happening, especially tonight. Well, let's talk about the one series that's finished. Golden State beats Denver. By the way, if anyone is wondering where Dame is, Dame had to he had a haircut appointment, so it's just me and Jurg right now. Warriors win in 5. We all had the Warriors winning. Me and Jurg had the Warriors winning in 6. Dame had the Warriors winning in 7. Gentlemen's sweep. They completely beat them to pulp the first 2 games. Jordan Poole emergence party. Yeah, it's just we all expected this. The Nuggets are kind of just besides Jokic, it's kind of difficult for them. Just they don't have the talent. They'll be back next year with Murray and Porter, but it's difficult when Aaron Gordon and Will Barton are your other options besides Jokic. He did all he could. He had a freaking crazy series numbers wise, and you could just tell eye test wise too. He was amazing, but there was only so much Jokic could do. Yeah, there's just the Warriors are kind of back now. They are kind of back now. I'm getting a lot of 2015-16 vibes from them. Again, like I said, Draymond did really good defensively. He was amazing defensively, especially on Jokic. Even though Jokic did have his numbers, he made some crazy plays at very important times.
He
on
made it
Jokic.
harder for Jokic. Like,
Yeah,
Jokic got his numbers, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. But yeah, it's just the Warriors. They're in the semis, man, and they're a championship contender right now, and I think they're the best team in the West. But shout out to the Nuggets. There was Game 5, which was last night, was pretty fun to watch. But it's really fun to watch Jokic play. But Jurg, anything we can move on quick from this. Do you have anything to say?
I think the last two games were great for Golden State because they had to come back down double
Yeah.
digits and win that game 5, and they really battled Denver, and I think that's what they needed to help test them out. Like it's not a case with Philly where they were up 3-0 and you kind of felt it was slipping. It's like no, Denver's going to get theirs because Jokic is just so good. And at the end of the day, Golden State, they lost that game 4, but they came back. They're not weak mentally, unlike another team that was up 3-0. And at the end of the day, they handled their business and won. Like to your point, I think at the end of the day, next season, it's hard to say about what Denver's ceiling is because they missed their other two scoring options. And I'm not going to talk about if they had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. because clearly neither of them were healthy enough. But like I'm saying, next season, like it's going to be interesting to see those two get back in the fold. I'll just say this: like props to Nikola Jokic, man. Like that dude. I don't think the series should have been as close. Like considering they lost their top two scores, or two of their top three scores. Like props to Jokic and Denver in general. But yeah, Golden State is looking like the best team in the West right now.
1,000%. All right, Suns Pelicans. It is 3-2 Phoenix at the moment.
When the hell did we think this would happen?
Devin Booker, I think during game 2,
yeah,
injured his hamstring, and he was out for the last 2 games, I believe. No, 3 games now, because they're going to game 6 now. So he's been out for game 3, 4, and 5. It's 3-2. Pelicans have taken advantage. They won game 2. The Pelicans won game 2. I'm pretty sure if Devin Booker, because he kind of left, I think in the third quarter, if Devin Booker was playing, they would have won that game, even though the Pelicans were up by like 2 or 3. I just think Devin Booker would have taken over at that point because he was having a crazy first half. But they took advantage. Dude, this Pelicans team is really fun to watch. Really, really fun. The Suns should win this series. I just think they're a better team. They're gonna outmatch them. But Brandon Ingram is playing awesome, bro. I'm loving their young guys, man. I'm loving are they rookies? Is Herb Jones? I'm loving Herb Jones. I'm loving Jose Alvarado. Yeah, man. And Jonas Valanciunas, one of the more underrated centers in the NBA. They are just so fun to watch. They play quick. They're just a little young and a little inexperienced. Just talent-wise, they're not better than the Suns, but they are making it tough for them, bro. They are making the Suns sweat.
Yeah.
I know they don't have Devin Booker, but man, is it inspiring to watch, bro. It is really fun, and I'm glad this is a series, man. I'm glad this wasn't like a 4-0 sweep or a 4-1 gentleman's sweep. Like I think we all had 4-1. No, Jurg had 4-0. Me and Dame had 4-1. But it's 3-2 right now. Could probably end tonight. But well, it's in New Orleans, and that crowd is awesome. So who knows? This could be a 7-game series. If it is a 7-game series, that'd be fun, really interesting. But I do think Phoenix takes it. Brandon Ingram, shout out to him, very underrated. He is awesome. He has been playing like an absolute all-star this series, even though I think he is an all-star. Yeah, shout out to him, bro. Shout out to Brandon Ingram, man. If they had Zion. Woo! All right.
I was just about to say, Chris, I'm not even going to analyze the series. Good for the Pelicans. It's gotten to this point. I think the biggest takeaway from this series is that you're showing Zion,
Yep.
if he's healthy and he comes back and he buys in and, he stops eating like 50 pounds of food every month, then him being back on this team is going to make them interesting next season.
Oh, yeah.
And you bring in what he could do, which is 25 points per game potentially. You add that to the scoring and veteran leadership of CJ McCollum, which I think we all agreed to, like getting CJ McCollum was just a W overall for New Orleans, but it's even better than they had thought. Brendan Ingram, I think he was an All-Star this year actually, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe the year before.
Last year or this year, yeah.
You got 2 other All-Star caliber players alongside him. You have Herb Jones, who's a great defensive player. He might actually make a defensive team just as a rookie. I love
Herb Jones, man.
He's a really good defensive player. Steal as well. Like
yes.
Comes out of nowhere for them. Jackson Hayes, like he's at least playing decent, like as a rotational player finally, which he had not been previously to the season. There's something happening in New Orleans which is going good. I think this is just going to show that this team has a future, and with the right general manager in there, and
it's not David Griffin.
Yeah, we all know that. With the right GM in there, I think with Green continuing to grow as a head coach, I think the future of New Orleans, don't think of this year's playoffs. Think of what this could mean for playoffs next year and the year after and the year after. And if they could just get Zion to commit and, stop thinking he's better than what he really is, then I think this team is going to be really, really interesting for future seasons. Like, we could be talking about the Pelicans as a team that makes the top 6 in the West next year, which is insane to me. We really could. It all depends. If old buddy can finally come back, then we're good. But this team has talent, man. Like this team has talent. Playing minimum should be the goal from them from now on, and they should set their sights higher.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Jazz versus Mavericks. 3-2 Mavericks.
I love the series.
Luka, I believe, didn't play for the first 3 games.
Correct.
And I think
And the Mavs were up 2-1.
Yes, they went up 2-1. I think the Mavericks could have had this had Luka been healthy, but it's 3-2 right now. They're gonna be in Utah for Game 6. Donovan Mitchell will play. He had a little bit of a hamstring issue towards the end of Game 5.
Respectfully, this is like the worst home court advantage to have for a do or die game like Utah.
That is true, but I do think Utah crowds are pretty like crazy. They'll be hyped for the game. But fuck Utah. But I don't think it's a problem for Luka, man. Yo, I think the Dallas Mavericks could close this out. I think Dallas Mavericks are actually winning this series regardless. But wow, I gotta give credit, man. Like to be up 2-1 without Luka, and they stole one in Utah. They could have won 2, honestly. Like kind of the Utah wanted towards the end there.
They got lucky.
Yeah, they got lucky, but I don't know, man. It's just, yeah, it's a little difficult because I do think the absence of a center for Dallas has really hurt them this series a little bit. But I do think their shot making, Jalen Brunson, man, coming out party. Jalen Brunson's always been good, but now he's showing up in the playoffs, so that's huge, man. So I got to give credit where he's doing. He picked up the slack while Luka's out. Dinwiddie, Bullock. I mean, as someone who saw Bullock in the playoffs last year as a Knicks fan against the Hawks, he was dreadful, but he's actually been playing really well these playoffs. Yeah, they just a lot of like Bertans and Spencer Dinwiddie. That trade is looking pretty decent for the Mavs, man. But
Right?
it's Utah's defense. I don't know, for some reason has been very suspect. Like wow, just wow. Even Royce O'Neal's looked kind of mortal in defensive end, bro. But in terms of who in this, I think Dallas. So momentum's on their side. They smell blood. Luka's back. He seems to be fine now. And Donovan Mitchell's a little banged up. Let's just hope for the sake of the NBA that the Jazz lose this series. What do you think, Jurg?
Like, I'm with you. I understand the point where like the center depth has hurt Dallas here. I think it would have hurt them more if they were facing a team like Minnesota or even New Orleans with how they've just been able to attack DeAndre Ayton and maybe like Valanciunas and Jackson Hayes. Like, I think because they're facing Utah and, Dame has his gripes with him. My only gripes with this guy are in the playoffs, not the regular season. But Rudy Gobert is the worst possible center to have in the playoffs, where defensively he's just going to struggle so much, and it's really a pick your poison on when you can have him out on the floor. And just offensively, like, what game was it in this series? Was it the game one they won, or was it the very next game where he had 0 points? You can't have that happen. You cannot be a starter in a playoff game in this league and score 0 points and I'm going to be confident that team is going to win. That can't happen. I don't care if Gobert is the old school center, like really, really old school. The fact that Dallas got up to 1 in this series, to me, without Luka, it just settled it to where, okay, Dallas is going to end up winning the series once Luka's back. And we've clearly seen Utah wins at the very last second. I think there's some youth and inexperience when it comes to that for the Mavs,
Yeah.
closing that game late. And now I think they are going to learn from that. They let's be real here. They demolished Utah in that game 5, and I don't see a lot of changing because let's be real here. Like, the hamstring's really been an issue in these playoffs. Devin Booker and
Yeah,
now Donovan
bro.
Mitchell. Like, what's going on, guys? Let's get some stretches in there. What are we doing here? But I think at the end of the day, Dallas has, to me, I think they're going to close it out here in Game 6. I think Donovan Mitchell being hampered and not being 100% is going to be hurtful. Unless he catches fire from 3, then maybe that'll be a different story. But I think that just limits what Utah can do. I don't see the other players on the Jazz stepping up. And when push comes to shove, to me, Dallas has now has their best player back, and he's the best player on the floor this series. Like, even though he's only played half the series at this point, I think Dallas is poised and primed to go on to the next round. And if they could hopefully, it depends what happens with New Orleans, but like they could get themselves a little bit of rest here, at least wait until the very next. And who knows when round 2 begins? If any of these other series go to Game 7, like this is prime opportunity here for Dallas and first playoff series victory of Luka's career. Like let's get to it, boys.
Yes. I think we all want that. Shout out to Dallas. We could root for them now that Porzingis is out. All right, last series of the Western Conference we'll talk about. Grizzlies versus Timberwolves. We all had Grizzlies. You and Dame, Jurg had Grizzlies in 5. I had Grizzlies in 6. That could happen tonight. You know what's funny is that the Wolves could have won this 4-1. Like The Wolves had so many opportunities to
They
just
really
like kind
did.
of take the series. It is absurd, like the inexperience factor, and they're just dumb. They are just so dumb. What Cat man? One game he's bad, the other game he's like playing decent. It's just so inconsistent, bro. It hurts to watch, bro. They gave up 2 20-point leads in one game, bro. I think that should just say everything about them, bro. Patrick Beverly, this is why you need veteran leaders, and I understand Patrick Beverly has like playoff experience and he is kind of a veteran, but he's like an emotional leader. I do
You need
think you
good
kind of
veteran
you
experience.
need a level-headed guy to be like, all right, guys, this is what we should do and this is what we shouldn't do. Whereas Beverly's kind of just like, let's go, let's go, let's go, like this and that. I think you need a different type of character in the playoffs right now, right? You need someone to be a bit more level-headed that could talk to Cat, that could talk to D'Lo, that could talk to Ant, be like, guys, we need to slow things down. Chris Finch, I think, is a really good offensive coach. Um, again, it's his first playoffs appearance as an actual head coach, so I think the inexperience factor is also in that coaching field as well. Um, but I do think like they don't have the veterans to like tell these guys to be like, guys, there are certain things we have to do in this scenario right now. They could have had it. The Grizzlies, boy, oh boy, I kept hearing like, bro, the fact that this is 6, might go 7. They're gonna be in Minnesota tonight. Jeez, bro, like I kept
This is
hearing
why Golden
Western.
State's going to beat them.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think any of these teams have a shot of being Golden State, but like Ja's been doing his thing. Desmond Bain as well. Ja's had a few games where he's kind of been a little suspect, but overall, I think he's had a good series. He hasn't had a great series in my opinion, just a good series. But the role players have been stepping up for the Grizzlies. They've been resilient even when they have been down. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something, but dude, Jaren Jackson Jr. Wow, this dude is so like not disciplined,
Yeah.
bro. He's been in foul trouble the whole series. Fouled out 2 games this series. My God, it's like that is just it really halts the momentum, especially for like the defensive aspect for them because he is a really good defender. So when he's like getting fouled out, man, like it's infuriating to watch, bro. It's infuriating to watch, but I do think Memphis wins this series. I hope it goes 7 because it's been a pretty fun series so far. But yeah, it's everything that I think we expected it to be. I think Minnesota could have won this, but they're just both teams I think are lacking in you know experience here. But what do you think,
Yeah.
Jurg?
No, yeah, it's to your point, lack of experience, lack of discipline. Let's be real here. Both teams actually could have finished off this series already. Like Memphis could have actually won in 5. Minnesota could have actually won this in 5
But
had they not blown
Minnesota
2 leads.
had the games where they were up. That's what I don't understand.
No, you're not wrong. But then at the same time, if Memphis had actually played hard in game 1, they would have won that game. Like the feeling after game 1 was that Memphis was playing around. They did not take that game seriously. Which like, who are you to act like that? You haven't earned that. But teams are going to do whatever they do. Sometimes not everyone can have real culture behind them. But the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves, to me, these are just like you said, 2 inexperienced teams where and it's weird to me because Memphis actually, like you talk about having needing the veteran experience, man. Like the Memphis actually has the right veteran on their team. Like Steven Adams has been there, and like I think he's actually a calming presence for the most part. He may not say a lot, but like Steven Adams has been a part of teams that have gone deep in the playoffs. Like he's played near Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul. So you would think, like, I don't know if they're just not like drawing on his experience. Like I don't know if they just don't ask him, but I don't know what they're doing. Like to your point, you think Ja's been good this series? I'm gonna be real with you, Chris. I think Ja's been bad this series. He's only had 2 good games this series, and the rest of them have either been average or below average. Like, and that's why we had the discussion
I'm
earlier.
being
Like
nice.
we need Ja. I'm not gonna be nice. He's been terrible for 3 games. Like if you're bad, if you give me 3 bad games out of 5, that is below 500. I don't accept
Like
that. So
math.
Ja's going to need to be that dude in this game 6 to close the series out. You know who is that dude though? Anthony Edwards is the one constant in this series of being a baller. Anthony Edwards is great. He is clearly the franchise player in Minnesota. I've thought it for a while now, mainly since it happened with Jimmy Butler. But Karl Anthony Towns cannot be your franchise player because he doesn't want to be a franchise player. He doesn't want to be the guy with all the burden on him. He just doesn't. Anthony Edwards is willing. Anthony Edwards wants to smoke. He wants to go out Ja Morant. Like, he gambled a little bit too bad in game 5, and that's how Ja got wide open.
Yeah, that was
It was tough, but I still like the fact that Anthony Edwards is willing to battle Ja 1v1.
yeah.
I don't think if you replace Anthony Edwards with a still good shooting guard, but like not one that's as aggressive as him, I think the Grizzlies sweep the series because Cat just isn't it. And I think Anthony Edwards is a godsend to that franchise. I really do. Him being there, like you said, Patrick Beverley, like this dude is just, I have no words. I think other pieces in Minnesota have played relatively well, but it's like you said, I think it's not having that experience. And the guy who was supposed to be like your guy, your star, is just not that. The game plan, I think, is obvious. If you're Minnesota, you want to force a game 7. Just make sure you let a fan in the arena that's willing to run out on the court and try to protest against the owner.
Which will probably happen again because they're in Minnesota tonight.
Yeah, and you'll win that game.
But they've won. Yeah, they've won.
They've won every single game where that's happened. It's freaking wild, man.
Go ahead.
So if you're security, you just got to let that happen. Let the fan just get on the court and then just tackle them like that one security guard did.
I'd have her guarding it.
I'd have that one security guard guarding the whole time. That was like if I don't see that a type of burst off the line from a defensive lineman, I don't want to draft them in the NFL. So like that's the kind of burst that you need. But no, in all seriousness, like if Minnesota wants to force a game 7, they just need to play a full 48-minute game. I don't think they've played a full 48-minute game since game 1. And I think it's obvious to tell. So if you're Minnesota, you got to play a full game. And it's kind of the same with Memphis. Just this is where you show us, like, how will that series against Golden State go? I think if they let Minnesota force a game 7, I think the Warriors could actually finish them in 5.
I agree.
I'm not even joking.
I agree.
I think the Warriors will win. I think we're all in agreement. I think if Dame were still here, I think he'd agree. But I think if they let this game 7 happen, I have absolutely zero faith in the world that Memphis is going to make it a series with Golden State. If they finish it tonight, I will give them a modicum of hope, and I will say maybe the series goes to 6. But Memphis, to me, I think the Bulls are the biggest pretender in this year's playoffs by far. I think we're starting to see Memphis was a bit of a pretender this season, Chris.
I'm with you. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I never bought into them, bro. And the fact that they're like kind of going the distance with the Wolves kind of proves it to me. The Cat is such a loser. Oh my god, bro. He's really talented. But you're right. I think Edwards is the guy going forward. It's just it's a series of offense. It's basically that. Like I've seen no defense, which is kind of fun to watch because it's like two young teams that don't know how to win.
Right.
It's just one team is better than the other on defense, but playoff defense is a bit different these, in the playoffs obviously than the regular season. But yeah, it's just I don't know, for me the Wolves, like, it's never like, even if they have like a lead, it's never over until like 0.00 on the clock, man. It's just, they cannot hold on to leads. They should have won the series by now. Like they've had games. Like, I know the Grizzlies are the better team this series, but the Grizzlies have had games where they should have won because they were up by so much. But yeah, I shout out to the Grizzlies for actually, like, holding it down and coming back and not like folding. So yeah, I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else. That's the whole first round so far.
Yeah, that's all 8 series. I think at this point, there's still that 1 in the East. There's still the 3 in the West. I think what we're all just hoping for is, at least one of these ends up going to a game 7.
Yes.
I forget it off the top of my head. I want to say 2011 was the last time that not a single series in the first round in the NBA playoffs went to a game 7. So it's been a while. We've always gotten to game 7. So let's hope for at least one more.
Wait, what about 2015, Jurg? I think Spurs and Clippers.
No. I'm saying that there hasn't been a first round series go to 7, like, at all. 2011 was the last time where no series went to game 7.
Right.
My bad if I misworded.
No. I'm an idiot. My bad.
So since 2011 was the last time where none of the first round series went to a game 7. We have 4 now that could go. And I think if at least 1 or 2 of them end up going to a game 7, I think that would be great just for entertainment purposes. Also push the playoffs a little bit. Like, let's be real here. Like, yeah, I think these teams even want to, like, let's have a little bit of time here. I think Milwaukee would not mind, if the series in the East and the West take another like day or 2 to end up finishing here. But yeah, I think we're just hoping for some competitive series, and we're hoping for some good basketball. But I think what we're hoping for is that these series in the second round look competitive. I think like Boston, Milwaukee, we're not going to do a full breakdown, but I think we hope Boston, Milwaukee can be competitive. Miami's going to destroy whoever ends up coming out that series, so I'm not even going to worry about it. And I think we all agree Golden State's going to beat Memphis.
Yeah.
If they somehow face Minnesota,
we'll put up the graphic, Jurg.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, like, these are general thoughts. Like, we hope that the East can continue to be competitive. The West, like,
it's
going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of maybe Dallas can make it interesting. Who knows? But you're right, Jurg. It's been a really good first round so far. I'm loving it. Hopefully we get a game 7. I do think there will be a game 7, at least from one of the series. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this week. Jurg, I guess Dame, thank you, because you were awesome this week. Where can they find us on the socials?
Guys, you already know you can follow us at somewhat.sports on Instagram to keep up with the polls that we post on the story. The polls are back, and
You've been awesome, Jurg, with that.
I only try. You know, we're having posts for every single game in the playoffs so far. We're going to continue that tonight. The posts always come up a little bit late because, you know, my schedule is weird, but I have an off day actually right now as we're recording. So, you know, it'll be good times today. But we have that. We're going to continue to post and ask, especially when it comes to the later rounds. I'm going to do the same thing when the Stanley Cup playoff come around. So, you know, it's not going to stop when NBA is close to finish. Hockey is coming as well. And we'll try to work in a little bit of baseball once the season is like really into it, because it's a feel out process right now. But just follow us on the somewhat.sports, where you'll also end up seeing, you know, what we're going to predict in round 2 in the conference finals. And ultimately, we got to have finals predictions, boys.
Absolutely.
So you have that. And of course, you can listen to us on YouTube, which majority of people have been. Keep listening. I know the draft happens after you've all listened to this, but please just listen to the mock even once the draft passed, just so you get the idea of like what we were thinking of back before the first round happened. And now, what we've been waiting to do for so long, you can listen to the podcast for the audio only people on Spotify. The Somewhat Sports Podcast is now officially on Spotify with our beautiful logo as well. Of course, Somewhat Spaced in Sports, the amazing, you know, creation that Chris has. You know, the first episode was up last week. It was the mock draft. You know, that's our big debut on Spotify. We've been planning this for a while. There have been some delays due to various reasons, like some of it out of our control. And we're just finally excited to be on Spotify. This is something we've been looking forward to, guys. And just, we really appreciate everyone that's listened on YouTube. And this will always be on YouTube, but now we're also going to be, you know, on the go. So if you're chilling at home, you can listen to us either way. But if you're on the go and you can't load up YouTube, obviously, because it's already loaded once you're out with data, as experience in Connecticut can tell you, you know, listen, throw it up on Spotify, listen to it, have a good time, you know, there, follow us, you know, download, listen to the episodes, rate it. You know, we have pretty good ratings so far, I must say, you know, which I think it makes sense for us. But at the end of the day, just keep on listening, keep on following. We appreciate everyone who's done so much. And hey, we just keep on going. There's nothing that's going to stop this well-oiled machine from going, because, you know, it's spring, summer's on the way soon. And summer of 2022 will be the summer of Somewhat Sports 2.0, boys, and it's only going to get better from here.
Beautifully said, as always, Jurg. I cannot follow up on that because it was so masterfully done. All right. Thank you again, Jurg, for all your work and dedication. And I guess Dave, who is not here right now because we had to get a fucking haircut. To all the listeners listening, thank you if you made it this far. And until next time, peace.
Peace.